My name's Justin from ARG. We're really glad that y'all came out for the Up Your Game educational series that we're putting on. ARG, we have about 2,000 clients here in the DC area. That's translates to about 11% of the companies that have 50 or more staff in this immediate area. So we're running about 200 appointments in a month. So we keep these guys pretty busy. But something that was cool that came out of that is we start to identify some trends that folks such as yourselves start to say, hey, we find this interesting. This is what we're seeing in our kind of our area of expertise. We'd like to learn more about it. So brought that back and said, one, let's give you a little bit of information about it, but more importantly, let's give you a chance to talk to your peers kind of outside of the work setting and just get to know a little bit more about it. So we've asked folks from Comcast to come and share a little bit more about that today. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
So the first thing I want to talk about is Ethernet solutions. People don't necessarily think about Ethernet and fiber when they think about Comcast. To FJ's point, we've got an amazing amount of coaxial cable out there. In fact, about 643,000 miles around the country. But most people may not realize that we were actually the largest fiber owner in the country as well, with 163,000 miles of fiber. So lots of fiber. Our Ethernet products are available depending on the speed, both over coax and over fiber, depending on what your needs are. And I'm just going to go through the four options. We have our dedicated internet access. This is the most popular one. This is that geebs and gobs of internet, starting as low as 1 meg symmetrical, all the way up to 10 gigs symmetrical as business as usual. We've actually just approved 5 ICPs to go up to 100 gigs for 5 customers. So we actually, in some cases, can go all the way as high as 100 gigs, but as business as usual without any special 1 meg to 10 gigs. It's a pretty wide range of range. SLA-based product. The next one is probably the second most popular, which is Ethernet private line. This is that point-to-point. I have a place in the Northwest and I want to connect it to the place in the Southwest, or I have a place in DC and I want to connect to Baltimore, or I have a place in DC and I want to connect to San Francisco. We can do all that for you. And if you happen to say I want to get from DC to LA, for example, and LA is not Comcast market, we have relationships with lots of other companies, including Spectrum, who can finish that last mile for us in LA. Ethernet network service, this is more commonly known by a lot of people as ELAN service or even VPLS. This is a layer 2 version of MPLS. I think of it as an MPLS killer, so if you have that network that has 3, 4, 5, 6 sites, 50 sites even, this is an excellent product for creating that layer 2 mesh network, any-to-any communications. And I think that if you're doing any-to-any communications, it's a whole lot easier with an ELAN, VPLS, or ENS service than it is to do it over MPLS, because there's no synchronization between us and your setup. And then finally, Ethernet virtual private line. This is that hub and spoke. So you have your headquarters site that has geebs and gobs of fiber, and then you have your remote locations, which can be either fiber or coax. Again, depending on the bandwidth speeds, 1 to 20 megs on coax, 10 to 10 gigs, as I mentioned, on fiber. So a pretty wide range of things. All these are SLA-based. 3 different SLAs available for the private communications ones, just 1 SLA for internet. Moving on, unless there's any questions. So one of the things that kind of came out by the fact that Ashburn's down the street, and we have a few other places, about 600 data centers connected nationally now, growing to about 800 proactively, is that we have those private products I just spoke about, EPL, EVPL, and ENS. Being able to leverage the cloud with private connectivity to the cloud. And you might say, why do you want private connectivity to the cloud? When you have those mission-critical applications that you can't bear the thought of the security of the internet, or you just need to know the guarantee of what you can expect from a latency and SLA-based service, going private connected to a cloud is important. We have direct connections to Amazon, Azure, and IBM. And so if you're working with one of those, it's a real easy thing for us to do, just to connect you into their infrastructure privately. If you're, again, for mission critical applications, if you're getting to the cloud with these onesie-twosie apps, internet is the way to go. But when it's mission critical and it's important to your service, it's that. Being connected to 600 data centers, we're connected to these guys, some combination of up to 5, So Ashburn's one of the locations, Chicago, San Jose, Seattle, Portland, to name a few of them. But there's a whole lot of other data centers connected. So if you're dealing with Fred's Cloud Company, and they're located in Yucca-Puck, Maryland, and we're in Yucca-Puck, Maryland with that connection, there's nothing preventing us from just doing the same idea and doing a physical cross-connect into Fred's Cloud Company. So lots of things we can do with cloud connectivity.
Why would we switch from Fred's Cloud Company?
Well, I
What's
mean,
the difference?
Fred's Cloud Company may have a set of applications that don't that or support that isn't what meets your need. You might want to work with one of the big guys like Amazon or Azure just because of their scale and some of the things that they have to offer. It's really about the packages and what they're offering. We're not offering their services. We're offering connections privately, directly up to them.
But you're not competing with Fred, right?
No, Fred would be competing with Amazon or Microsoft or IBM in this case. Yeah, so. Moving on. Hey, we're halfway done. A lot of people don't think about the importance of DDoS mitigation. We have a product, a lot of people do. When you're in business, people so often think about this is not an inexpensive product, and they're very often thinking about it. That's very expensive. Why would I want to protect this connection that is also expensive? And I always look at it is that when you're being attacked from a denial of service attack, you're ensuring the business the ability to stay in business during an attack. And if you think about it in that context, the relative cost versus the relative cost of the protection to the actual connection, I think it's more relevant to think about the business, because you're a business that without the internet you're out of business. It's invaluable, particularly finance and healthcare. It's real important. Real high level how it works is we have a legitimate user, happy path green, follows its way, gets to your site, no issue. But you're suddenly under attack. Our scrubbers usually will detect that within about 5 minutes. So you would have to look through a 5-minute possibly of attack. Our servers detect it. They route it to one of our 11 scrubbing servers located in most of our peering locations around the country. Once it scrubs out the bad, continues the good, and forwards it right on, adds very little latency to the connection, and you're back in business like nothing ever happened. It will continue to validate how long the attack is, and as soon as that attack is over, it will bring you back down to happy path so that your latency returns to normal. The key thing to realize about this is that it's best when you buy it on an unlimited subscription basis, so it's up and running and detecting it automatically. Our business customer portal will, if you log into it, will show you when you've been attacked and when it's protected you. But because we're not a mean company, we really recognize that most people don't buy services like this until they get their first attack. So we do have the ability for you to call customer service and say, help me, and they'll charge you an extraordinary amount of money relative for the amount of service, and they'll turn it on for 24 hours for you. And if that gets you over the hump, then great. If the attack is going on for a second 24 hours, we'll charge you for another 24 hours, and then you wish you had bought the service. But really, if you're in healthcare, finance, or you're in a very visible company that you might have malicious customers, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Any questions? Software in the scrubbing system.
It's actually something we initially built for ourselves. We actually built this in to protect Comcast. And after our guys built the infrastructure, we kind of came to ourselves and said, hey, I think this is a product that we could be selling to our customers. So it's only offered to customers who buy our Ethernet dedicated internet service.
So it's not off the shelf, right?
No. It's not a firewall product. It's obviously in our cloud. If it was a firewall product, it wouldn't stop. If you, let's say, you bought a 100 meg connection, you would have a flood of 100 meg sitting in your firewall. It wouldn't be entering your network, which would be great, but nothing else would be either. So you'd still have essentially, down connection.
Gotcha.
So allows you to keep up, which is why it's so important. Traffic goes through the scrubbing servers, kind of filters out the bad, forwards the good, and goes on, and sends the bad to FJ's house. Our most popular product is one we call Business Internet. Sometimes people call it Business Class Internet. That's an old name. But really the cool thing around this is a technology. It's a standards base. You might have heard of DOCSIS. The latest version of it's DOCSIS 3.1. DOCSIS 3.1 is basically a new algorithm that allows us to run our cable plant harder than we have been before. And as a result, we are now able to offer 1 gig speeds on cable and 500 meg speeds. So coming this fall, coming this Q4, it'll be available in this area. Right now it's available in Chicago, Atlanta, Detroit, and Nashville. Yes?
I was thinking, why is there such a discrepancy between the upload and the download?
That is an amazingly good question. So I can give you lots of answers to that. So it's a little bit about cable architecture. When we first went into business doing this, the bandwidth that we reserved for upstream was an area of cable that was very limited and didn't have the ability to grow. And we've kind of pushed it to its limits at this point based on the ancient analog channel 2 that doesn't exist anymore. In the next year sometime, we're going to be moving that split between upstream and downstream up, taking away from, so to speak, the frequency that TV channels work in and expand the upstream. And when we do that, the numbers will become more symmetrical. 35 is about the most we can do with the current architecture. So that's why. But independent of this, I read an interesting article about a week or two ago that said businesses in general, small businesses and consumers who are not hosting content at their home or at their business site generally consume 14 times more downstream than they use upstream. So if you think about the cost associated with that,
that's
it's
true
symmetrical.
unless you get into a VPN situation where
Yeah.
you're
Well,
linked to
again, if you're that's not true for every business, because if you have people VPNing into your site to gather content at your site, then that's not going to be true. But if you're just a consumption-oriented place, it's 14 to 1 is the ratio that I read in that article. It wasn't even on one of our.
you say it's technology limited, not.
I'm sorry.
It's technology limited, not.
Yeah. So for us right now, 35 on the upstream. Next year, when we basically go from doing DOCSIS 3.0 on the upstream to DOCSIS 3.1 on the upstream, by moving that split higher, you'll see more symmetrical speeds. I don't know if you'll see gig by gig, but you'll see numbers closer together.
And but remember, this is the business class product is a non-SLA product. So if you're doing VPN access, you got remote users who are dependent, mission critical to get in.
I'm a
You're gonna
small
buy the
business.
better
I got
product.
2 small offices that
Okay.
are connected over business class internet, and my effective bandwidth is the lower of the two
Yeah,
speeds for.
Absolutely.
And I'm
So-
not going to go out and spend $1,000 a month on each one for a business class circuit because of
Yeah,
a small business.
Well, you might be surprised. Just going off on a tangent. Going
I don't want
back.
to distract.
No.
Away from you.
These are good questions. Let me just finish the thought here, and I'll go back. Is that these are the speeds that we'll have available once these speeds are available now, and these two will be available in Q4 when it gets launched. As I mentioned, they're available in some of the cities of our market in our footprint now. A lot of times, going back to I'm going to go back for just a second to this slide. Internet access is symmetrical. So whether that's run on coax or on fiber, it's always symmetrical. So up to 20 meg symmetrical on coax, up to 10 gigs and beyond on fiber. But in your case, you may consider just looking at Ethernet private line over coax, 20 megs point to point, or even over fiber. It may not be as expensive as you think. And then you don't even need to worry about VPNs because it's private. Okay. There's a rule, and if in my life, that if I don't say SD-WAN at least 20 times a day, I'm going to get a ticket from the Comcast police. So I've said it now, SDN, SD-WAN, okay, good. So we think about, real quick, very traditionally, what's been happening over the course of time. People have been investing and buying these MPLS networks. And MPLS is a great technology, 15 years old, in the autumn of its life, and it's kind of expensive. It's usually people are using T1s, which are limited to 1.5, and they're doing N by T1s. Sometimes they have other access that's better than that, but it's kind of a technology in its life. But the marketplace is huge for this, absolutely huge. But so when people have an MPLS and they want to expand it, you may have to call up and say, hey, I want to add another T1, and there's a lot of complications, a lot of coordination. It's not very nimble. So this technology that you've been hearing a lot about, SDN and SD-WAN, has been available. And we think that people are not going to just go get rid of my MPLS and let me just plug in an SD-WAN. I think that people are going to want to be redundant. So our answer to that is stop growing that MPLS and let's overlay SD-WAN. SD-WAN, you end up having a device that makes a decision there, a device that makes decisions in other places, and you can say on an application by application basis, I want this mission critical app that is very secure to me. Let that ride the MPLS because I have a high level of comfort with that. And then with internet access from Comcast, EDI or business internet or internet access from any provider, leverage that internet connection for it to create tunnels to each of the sites so you can offload your unimportant traffic. You know, maybe it's Spotify, you don't want to eat up bandwidth going across the MPLS. Spotify, it's actually, I understand that like the #1 productivity killer right now. Spotify. So you end up get offloading.
I don't even know what it is, so I guess I'm
Facebook,
not killing them.
Pandora,
Using
that type of thing.
radio.
So having an application like that, you can kind of offload that network, maintain your MPLS, and then these two back up one another. So the MPLS goes down, the SD-WAN is covering you. The SD-WAN goes down, the MPLS is covering you. It's a new technology, taking kind of commodity-based hardware and leveraging it to be able to do a lot more for a lot less money is the end, is the benefit. So there's a lot of things we've been able to do for a while. And I'd love to talk to you more about SD-WAN, but that's one more slide separating me between you and there, and that is our SD-WAN product is launching September 12th. We're actually in beta right now. We're still entertaining beta customers if you want to be a Trailblazer. For those who are Trailblazer, it is 6 months free, and then half price service for the SD-WAN service afterwards. So it's a pretty sweet offering if you are a company that has multiple sites or working with a company that needs multiple sites. Won't spend any more time talking about that, but just keep in mind, talk to me or Francis if you have any questions about that. And I think that is it, unless there are any questions.